Hey, what's up? It's your man Big Jack. Just here hanging out with you. This is another part to the Big Jack stories. This is where I share who I am. This is where I actually introduce myself to you, those who have been supporting the Iron Sharpening Iron show and all the spinoffs that come from the Iron Sharpening Iron show. I just wanted to take this time to introduce myself to you. I was brought to my attention that I've done many shows. I've definitely interviewed lots and lots of people, but I never took the time to really explain who I am, who is Big Jack Story Time, and what is he all about. So this is part two because I did have a part one, of course, and we did talk about who I was and the things that I've done in my life. So here's an opportunity to go with part two. So if you're out there, we're gonna say hello, leave a comment, hit that not a hashtag, but hit that like button and let me know that you're out there. Definitely leave a comment so that way I know that you're out there and so we can talk. But this is me and these are the early years. I wanted to share piece by piece, and I'm answering questions for those. And some people are asked right now, why? Why do we care? And why do we? If you don't, I can say, hey, move on. That's the only thing I can really say is move on. But if you really do want to know who Big Jack Storytime is, if you really want to know some of the things that I've been through in my lifetime, I'm willing to share, and that's what this is all about. So this is an opportunity. I'm streaming. I'm out in the, I would say out in the streets, but I had to do some running to do today, and so I had an opportunity to take a pause and to get on here and stream. So if you're out there and you want to learn any more about Big Jack Story Time, drop those questions in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer them. I ask anyone and everyone who is out there to be respectful for one another and be respectful to me. This is something that I'm looking to do, but at the same time, it's not about going back and forth and fighting with anybody. So it's so wonderful to have each and every one of you out there. I'm looking down and it's showing 7 million. I always look at that. I look at everybody as being a 100% a a million. You're worth a million to me. So each and every person is out there. Thank you. Look like Luis Hernandez. Hello, what's up? And going out there. I want to take this time to share who Big Jack Storytime is. So I shared in my last episode, I was born and out of the Washington, D.C. area, the DMV. So I thank you each and every one of you for coming in and hanging with me. And this has been a journey for me. I've been on YouTube for about a little bit over a year. So this channel is new, but the growth and that we've done with the team, the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe team, has put a lot of stuff together, and we're getting ready to change the brand. And I just wanted to share. So I'm out of the Washington D.C. area. I'm born in the DMV. Grew up on the Maryland side of the DMV. And for those who don't know what the DMV is, that's the District, Maryland, and Virginia. So when people say they're from the DMV, it's like which part? You from the district, you're from Maryland, or you're from Northern Virginia? So I'm from the Maryland side. I was born and raised in that area. I was born in Washington D.C., but I was raised on the Maryland side. And then as I grew up, I grew up in that area. So there it is. So you're asking. So Nico say, what is the DMV? That's it. That means District, Maryland, and Virginia. And that's the Washington, D.C. area. So Washington, D.C., the nation capital of the United States. I'm in the United States, if you didn't know. And the DMV is what we call that area where the district, which is Washington, D.C., there's a part of Maryland, and then the Northern Virginia comes together. So I've already said it multiple times, so you already know. But and so growing up there it was challenging. I grew up in the '70s, so a lot of things were going on in the world at that time. The Vietnam War was ending. A lot of civil rights movements were being worked out and was still going through. Busing became a big thing. So busing became a big thing at that time where we were, being put on school buses. So I had two or three schools in my neighborhood, but they ended up putting me on a school bus and I had to travel. It was probably about 25, 30 minutes away to get to school. And you said if you didn't hear me, so the DMV, again, I'm gonna mention it one more time, is the district, Washington, D.C., which is what they call it the district, Maryland, the state of Maryland, and then Virginia, the state of Virginia. Combined, that area where those three meet is considered the DMV. So that's what those three letters stand for. All right, so being bused was a challenge because you had to get up early. You had to get up much earlier than what school started because you had a 30-minute ride. So then going out to a bus stop. So a imagine a kid, looking at the a kid at you know, 5, 6, 7 years old, going out of their house, walking down, and where our bus stop was probably like 1.5 blocks away. So 1.5 blocks away is where our bus stop was located. And then when you get out there, you waited for your bus. And then we traveled about 30 minutes. I would say 30 minutes away to about 30 minutes away to before we got to where the school was. But it was a nice school, and the teachers were nice, and a lot of the students, we were from the same neighborhood. It was just the busing. So it was funny because the way the street was divided. So on my side of the street, so say you had a road with two sides to it. On my side of the street, we went to one school, but right across the street, they went to a different school. So that made it a little bit tougher, because you had friends that you saw all day when you're at home, but we just didn't go to school together. So that was a little bit, yeah. But anyway, so with all that being said, that was the challenging part. So and it was just the thing is where yeah, you're getting bused, you're going over here, and it was like that was a way to make it easier for us to learn because it was less distracting, is what they were trying to say. But it was all good. I had a good start, kindergarten through fourth or fifth grade. It was around sixth grade is when I had my hardest, the biggest challenge, I guess, getting ready to go to middle school. And that's when I found that, a lot of things that I was lacking. A lot of things I didn't have the education that I needed and all. It was a little rough at that time for me. So that was probably the biggest struggle for me is around the fifth, sixth grade. I was a well-behaved student, but it was the parts of grasping some of the things that um, some of the things that you really need to know to make it to the next level. So I think Isaiah's out there cracking. He said, I look like, oh, okay, well, thank you. I appreciate you giving me that compliment because I like the hamster on SpongeBob, but, it's all cool. But, it's funny for you to put that out there when can't nobody see what you look like, but it's all good. You can take a little time out. You all right, though. But have fun with your time out, bro. Yeah. But but anyway, so those are the things that when you're a kid and you're growing up, and I mentioned it in the first one that I had my mom. She was young when she had me. I had a lot of support from my family uh, as far as helping me develop, being the first in my generation to just be born, and then you didn't have you didn't have a lot of cousins or people to play with other than the neighborhood. So that's one of the reasons I was saying that, here we had kids in my neighborhood, but during the school time, they split us up. So it made it a little tougher because it forced us to learn and meet new people. But then at the same time, you never had that comfort of the people that you saw every day at home or when you was playing outside at the playgrounds and things in your neighborhood. So it almost put a divide in the neighborhood as well because not that we had a rivalry or whatever going on, but at the same time, because we didn't see each other all day, when we got back together, we would, it would, I would say it would clash, but that's where the competition came. So, it's like, wow. So, we had the north side of the street or the south side of the street. And because of that, that's where when we played sports together or when we played, like basketball, football, things like that, we would play, it would be us versus them, this side versus that side. And that was the competition. So that made it tougher when I grew up because when I did start playing sports, when I did start, getting involved with a lot of sports, a lot of that came out of competing against some of these kids that I grew up with. So it wasn't like we were real. I don't say friends. We were friends, but at the same time, we was very competitive, and a lot of that competition came from the divide that we had even through the school years, just in a regular day. So and that's so I would say that was healthy competition, but it made it tougher growing up because here's somebody you might have seen all day in school and you saw them and then it's like, man, all of a sudden down it's like you're not you're against this person. You're fighting for this position, or you're fighting for in a game or whatever, and you didn't realize it. It wasn't until I got older that I realized how hard that was as I was growing. As I was growing, you don't realize it, but when you get older and you look back over your life and you say, okay, now I understand why, you know, um, why this person was, he was a good friend, but I always looked at him as a competitive. I always was competitive with him. And that was, so that made it tough. That really did make it tough. It made it tough for me growing up. I have my best friend from my neighborhood. We're still best friends to this day. So, but we didn't really become real friends until we got into middle school. And that's again, as part of that busing and being separated and all. But when we got into middle school, which is around seventh grade, eighth grade, is when it was at that time that we were in the same school. And once we got in the same school, it was on. It was on. So thank you all who been out there commenting and putting things in the chat and all. I ask you to be respectful in the chat. I ask you to, respect me as I respect you. If you have a question, I'll do my best to answer your question. This is just an opportunity for me to, come on here and share a little bit of who I am. It was not designed to put myself in on any type of pedestal or anything like that. Nico is still asking what the DMV is, and we've talked about that several times. We've hit that button multiple times. You're gonna have to go back and hit the replay button this time, bro, because we went down that road. But at the same time, we thank each and every person who's been out here hanging and chatting with me. I appreciate it. Uh, it says, what it say? Mental wounds not healing life. Better shame is going on the rails. A crazy train. 100%. So my channel is mostly about we do a live we do live interviews. We do a live podcast on the show. So we have a show called the Iron Sharpening Iron Show, and that's our main show. And from there, we have some spin-offs. So we have the Gentleman's Journal, we have the Ladies' Diary, we have the Battle of the Sexes, we have the Voices of Resilience, we have the Coach's Corner, We Be Jamming Live, and then there's another show called Ask a Bee. So if you was actually coming into the show, if you actually came in and see, you would see that the channel is a mixture of multiple content creators all under one network where we work together to help each other. Our motto, the motto for our show is we are stronger together. So we are coming together under this one platform to prove that we are stronger together. If each one would reach one, we can all grow and glow. That's what the show is all about. That's what the channel is about. So if you subscribe to this channel and you was to watch any of our live interviews and all, we have different guests on twice a week. So the Iron Sharpening Iron show comes on every Wednesday and every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, because I'm on the East Coast of the United States. And so from there, we come on and we interview different people from all walks of life, or all walks of life, and with the purpose of being stronger when the show is over. So Arnell says, Patriots or Bills tomorrow? I'm going with the Bills. The Bills need to pull themselves together and get through this thing so they can make it to the playoffs, and definitely put themselves in a position if they want to. So I'm going with the Bills tomorrow. Um, you drive a car better than, let's say, you could drive a car. I drive better car than you. That's good. Yeah, 100%. I look at it like this, bro. A car is something that gets you from point A to point B. A lot of people put a lot of money in their car, and I'm like, wow, you spent 50, 60, $70,000 on a car, and then they live in a shack, and that doesn't make sense. So I reversed that. My car has over 300,000 miles on it right now. So I've gotten more than my money's worth out of the car. So if you drive a better car than me, congratulations. That's that Jordan out there. I think it's Jordan. 100%. It's great that you drive a better car, but I got 300,000 miles out of mine. So when I look in my pockets, I think I'm on the better side. I'm just gonna go with that. However, the Bills kind of disappoint me. Yeah, the Bills is having a rough year, but they're not by themselves this year. It's kind of weird how the last year top dogs and all of those teams that was setting the pace last year are struggling this year. Like the Eagles are struggling this year. The Bills are struggling. The Chiefs are struggling. We go down. Who else is shoot? Even the Ravens and even the Steelers, both are going back and forth struggling. So it's been a rough year for those teams we're used to, seeing at the top. But the Bills have been disappointing for a long time, because you think, how many Super Bowls have they been to, and how many Super Bowls have they won? And that's where um, so I think Jordan is a little beside himself. So he thinks he's better than that. That's great. Congratulations to you. But you can go check it out on your own. Pop in another page somewhere. Yeah. So, but I would say the Bears. Oh, the Bears is they're rolling. They got a good little thing going. I think the Lions in a good spot. The Eagles are in the best spot when you look at their record, even though they haven't been winning. Their last four games are going to be not that challenging, like three of them anyway. So they should find themselves winning the division. So when you look at that, that's going to be. But I like the Bears. I think the Bears are doing pretty good. So but this is what I come in here. This is great. I'm glad that we're getting a little interaction in the chat. I wanted to introduce myself to those who don't know me. Ask you to hit that subscribe button if you want to learn more about the Iron Sharpening Iron team, and the things about who we are and what we're all about. Uh, I'm reading. What is this? Oblivious Smoke. Vision. Who brainwash? Well, that's an opinion. So there you go, 100%. Arnell said Carolina first in their division. That was shocking. Carolina for years, there was times that they were really good, and now to be first in their division and then stepping up their game, which is really good. So happy to see Carolina. I'm glad to see the roles have reversed, and teams that wasn't winning are now up there winning. So that's pretty good, because it gives us more of a variety for playoffs and Super Bowls and things like that. So it's time for those other teams. You think about it, when you're the low man on the pole, the low man in your division, the low team in your division, you start getting those better draft picks. You start getting those first rounders, and it takes 3 or 4 years for those people to form and get into where they need to be. So Arnell, I think you're right. Carolina first in the division. I think they also it took some years to build that back up, and we're going to be seeing them as a powerhouse in the next couple of years. Um, so Smoke, I'm not sure. That's an opinion. Everybody has a theory. And like you even said, you have a theory. I go off the word of God. I believe in the word of God. I believe in God in His power, and but at the same time, I think a lot of it is how we interpret it and how we live off of what we're reading. So, with that being said, I don't get into this. So those are two things that we don't get into. Well, I don't get into, and that's I don't wrestle with other people's theories or beliefs when it comes to religion, and I don't wrestle with people's theories and beliefs when it comes to politics. So those are the things I do not talk about because you're gonna it's I can't change your mind. I don't even want to change your mind, and you're not going to change mine. So because of that, it's like, what are we talking about? Because if I'm already set on how I feel, it really I'm locked in, and I believe that most people are locked in, and they're going to be the same way. So, but as a kid growing up, um, not so much the times was challenging, and it was because again, I remember I mentioned a single mom, single parent household with my grandparents, and yeah. You know what? You say the Irish band, Thin Lizzy and U2. I've heard of U2. I've never heard of Thin Lizzy. So I don't know if that, I have to check that out. And we do have a show the last Saturday of every month. Matter of fact, I'm sorry, every Saturday. There's a show. The last Saturday of every month, we have a show called We Be Jamming Live. That's where we put musical artists on the show. That comes through my channel. So make sure you check that out. That's 9 p.m. Eastern Time, East Coast time. But every Saturday now, we're going to start doing a musical tribute and definitely take you down memory lane for some of these great artists that has been providing music for us for so long, and maybe then Lizzie and you two will be highlighted tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time, or maybe not because there's so many great artists out there. But I'm not sure on that one. So is it Nope and Nope, Nope, Nope and Nope. So oh, it's Nope Nope. There you go. All right. So it's hard to see the writing of your name, but I'm not sure on that one. So I'm gonna ask you, Nope Nope, what's up? Tell me who you think is better, Irish band. And there we go. Yes, I have heard the song. So that's the Thin Lizzy. Is or is that yeah okay so you know what so here's my thing with me, and it's funny to me, so if it's not funny to you, then okay. I for 100 times like to I like to listen to music and I know the song, but if you say who sings it, I'm not the best with that one. So I would lose every trivia question when it comes to who sings the song, but I could tell you I probably heard the song. He said, I got my 401k match from my employer, my guy. That's pretty good. Is that Jake? That's pretty good if you got your 401. So they match you at what percent? 100% match? Or is it they match 10%? What's your match on your 401k? And for those, who are working and don't have a 401k, you need to start putting something aside for retirement. If you're working, you got a career, make sure you put money to the side for your retirement. And if you leave a job, so this is for those people that's out there, I'm just throwing this nugget out there. If you leave a job that has 401k, don't cash out your 401k. Do your best to roll it over. Don't cash it out. Try to roll it over, put it somewhere else so that you can keep building because eventually you will with the blessings of God you will get older and you're going to want to retire, and if you keep cashing it out there won't be anything there for you to retire to. So Jake 19 said that I got a 401k match, and they say they match up to 6%, which is really good, which is equals about to 200 a week, yeah, for free. I put 75 automatic three. Yeah. So no, that's really good. If they're matching up to 6%, that is a good, because you think about it, if you're putting in 3%, six, that's 9% going in. So well, if they're matching you, so you put in three and they put in three, there goes 6% right there. But if you put in six and they matching you at six, that's 12%. And that's a good chunk. So yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Jake. He said never cash out the 401k. Only I don't say we call him a sucker because sometimes you do. You know, you're changing jobs. Having that extra money right there would help a lot because the fact that most times, you know, there's some things that you're going to need because of the big job change and all. So, and that is money that's just sitting there, but it's also money that you had already put to the side. So if you leave it alone. You wouldn't even know that it was there. It was already there growing. Just leave it alone. Roll it over until, so he said make a Roth IRA. Yeah, 100% with other 44%. You got to say 50%. And here's a big thing with that. So yeah, say 35. But once you turn 50, which I'm over 50, I was allowed to play catch up, and I was allowed to put a little bit more in because you're getting closer to retirement. So once you get closer to retirement, they'll allow you to put a little bit more in your 401k, and that way you can help grow yourself and get yourself in a position. So, but thanks, Jake, for dropping that. So Linux football, what's up? Hello, how you doing? This is Big Jack story time. I'm just out here. One, I was waiting. I had to do some errands today, and I'm waiting. Wasn't going to be on here super long, but I thought it would be a good time to come in here and just say hello to everybody. I think everyone who's come through and the knowledge they've been dropping in the chat. Being respectful is the only thing I ask. I will be out here, I will hang with you, but I would ask you to be respectful to me as I would be respectful to you. I'm not here promoting my channel. I'm not here promoting, I'm here showing or talking to people about who I am because a lot of times I do interviews. I host the Iron Sharpening Iron show, and I've interviewed tens and 20s and 30s, and I think we just crossed the 50, I mean 70, 75, 76 interviews. Different guests has been on the show, but I really never tell people who I am, and this was an opportunity to tell people who I am. You see, that's the problem. We can't spend all the money we got. We put up 50%. Yeah, and that's it. And you're right, right there. So don't spend it all, but at the same time, sometimes you got to say, what's up? Have a Merry Christmas and you and the family. Dad and my grandparents passed away this Christmas. It's hard. Please keep me in the prayers. 100%. That's Heather Starr. That's very sad. You know, um, One thing that anybody who has had a death in the family, uh, especially that first year, because the first year for anybody, it's the first for everything. It's to be the first Christmas without, the first New Year without, the first Thanksgiving without. So it makes it a really, really hard when, people have passed and it's the first one. No different than when a kid is born, it's the first this, the first that. So, Heather, we definitely will keep you in. I'll keep you in my prayers. You're more, and my condolences to you and your family and your loss. And like you say, you'll definitely get stronger as time go on. And no one's asking you to forget. The memories will always be there, but it doesn't take away the pain, especially when it's the first one. Jackson, sorry to hear that people bully you. That's that no one should be bullied. Right now, we got on my channel. If you see, and I did a series. It was a fun series, but it's a Christmas story with Rudolph and Santa Claus, and it was created. Of course, it was my script, but I used AI to put the video together. But Rudolph took Santa Claus to court and sued him for bullying because Rudolph was saying he was being bullied by Santa and the other reindeers. And if you know the song, you know that was true in the song. So that's why I put something together just to have a little bit of fun, but then at the same time, it's out there. So if you go to my channel, hit that subscribe button, look at the shorts, and you'll see. Right now, I think we're up to the third episode. It's like 15 to 16 episodes. It would lead us all the way up to Christmas. It was a little fun thing to put together. That's being a content creator. That's what you come out here to do. But then at the same time, that's why we're learning. So it says, I say good day. I say good day, sir. So Jake, it says you have to pay taxes, and if you take it out early, you can look in liquidating. Yeah, I have to live very frugal, spend no more money besides absolutely necessary. Ramen noodles and sardines. Now I don't eat too many sardines, but I can knock out some ramen noodles. So, but you're right. You gotta, make sure you take care of yourself and put that money to the side. Even though you can't take it with you, you do. Me, I want to retire. So it said, been waiting for a girl. Oh man. So Heather, I don't know what's going on with Jake, and if y'all know each other. If you don't, again, I ask you to be respectful for to one another, and at the same time be respectful to me, and I will be respectful to you. I don't know what Jake looking for. I know Jake got his 401k together, but maybe he's trying to find somebody to share his 401k with. So maybe that's what's going on. So I don't know what's going on with that. So, but anyway, but anyway, if I ever, let me see, have you ever went to Tennessee? Yes, I have been to Tennessee. Tennessee's a nice state. I've been there a couple of times. Watching college football. Matter of fact, the Tennessee State University. I've been to several of their games, and then I actually vacationed one year in Memphis, Tennessee. So I went out to Memphis, and so yes, I have been to Tennessee, and that's at Oliver King. So have you been to Tennessee? That's a good one. Have you been there, or are you in Tennessee? But I have been there several times. Matter of fact, one of my stories when I was in Tennessee, excuse me, in Memphis, was that I needed to go to a more like a convenience store. Matter of fact, it ended up being a Walmart, and I had to leave Tennessee and go into Arkansas. So I had to drive across this bridge to get into Walmart from Memphis, and I thought that was so crazy that I had to leave the state just to go to a Walmart. So that was one of my, things that happened when I was in Tennessee. But yeah, I like Tennessee as a state. So yeah, thanks for asking. And then put in the chat if Oliver, if you've been to Tennessee, have you been there? Uh, it says "Take It Off, Baby." So I don't say that's a name, but that is your name. I respect you, Daddy, is what he put up there in the comment section. Um, I appreciate the respect, and that's what I ask anybody because that's the main thing right there. If we can respect one another, we can have fun on here. This is not keyboard warriors and want to come out here and bully one another and talk a lot of trash and stuff, but that's not what this is about. That's not what this platform should be about. That's definitely not what my channel is about. So this is an opportunity for me to share with you, but then actually come out there and talk to a lot of people who have subscribed to my channel, who have watched the shows that we put out, and I'm asking you to stay tuned because we got a big announcement for January 1, 2026. So January 1, 2026 is going to be huge. And I wonder how many of y'all are ready for the new year. I know we're getting ready for Christmas is coming up, and those who celebrate Christmas, you might be getting ready, but 2026 is right behind it, and that's going to be huge. So how many of you, what's your plans and what's your goals? What's your resolution for the next year, 2026? Do you have a resolution for 2026? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And a lot of times we pretty much be lying to ourselves. I don't say we lying, but sometimes we don't what they call it. We don't hold up to what we said we're going to do in the next year. So that's one of yeah. So I don't know who's that skiddity or who Pops is talking to because He's asking somebody about hello, young lady, but I'm not sure who he's mentioning and trying to reach out to because it ain't Big Jack. So 100%. So we thank you all 4 million of you that's out there. And like I say, every time I see person, you're like a million to me. So that's why I'll say it like that because we've at one time we've had 10 million in here, 20 million in here, which is really cool. Oh, and he said, "Oh, my bad. I know it's no way that you thought I was a lady. So, it's cool, but I know there's no way you thought I was a lady, but it's all good. And if you did, man, I can only imagine some of the ladies you've been hanging out with because that's crazy. But it's always cool, Like I say, I'm not gonna lose no sleep. I don't get bothered and rattled like a lot of people would on, social media and things like that. Because, it's a place. A lot of people you don't know who these people are. They don't know where they're coming from. But you know what I've noticed lately, though, and watching different shorts and different videos, even long form, that some of the people that the content creators, the people who own these pages, like I own this page, but they are tracking down the people who have been putting negative comments and stuff in their chats. So I'm asking you, and I'm even warning you in a sense to that point that times has really changed and when you say certain things or put certain things in the chat, do know that it's not that hard anymore to find where you are and to link or hook up on your page and to share that information with your boss, your family, and all that other stuff. So those are the things I'm starting to see now, and it's not a threat. It's more of a warning to anybody that's out there that's just going out there throwing any random disrespectful things in people's chats that it's changed. The search engine can find you a whole lot better than it used to. I remember when there was no internet. That's my age range. There was no internet. I remember I didn't have a cell phone. You know, Yeah, so I don't think so. You said if stress was a person, it is you. I don't think so. Um, if lack of stress and don't stress, you got me. But see, you don't know me, so I can say, that's cool. But I don't stress like that. Things it don't bother me like a lot of people. It's some people. Hey, poetic tears, how you doing? What's going on? Just popping in here, and I'm glad that you are able to come in and hang out. I'm just, it's very rare that I get opportunity to just sit here and talk, and he said, "Well, it does sound like it." No, no, it doesn't. So if it did come across like that, I'm not even saying I apologize. I was just more letting you know that being respectful is huge. Being respectful in someone's channel is huge. When you come in here, enjoy yourself. It's entertaining. Yeah, you'll learn a lot and there's some wisdom being put out, but at the same time, you don't have to be disrespectful. uh I'll take respectful questions. So Benny, if you say if you I'll take respectful questions. I won't take a lot of what is the one? Okay, I'm trying to read what you said, but Benny, yes, I do take questions if they're respectful. I'll give you that right there. Um, yeah, so but I got you. No, I'm more. The thing is, when you're on these, when you're in a channel like this, when you're out here and you're going live and you're going live. I'm reading Benny's comment or his question, and like I say, sometimes uh, I was reading, and that's what made me pause. He said, "I'm 22 now. And I lost my father at 18. Do you have any advice? Just struggling lately." And Benny, that's hard. I mean, it really is hard. Anytime you lose a parent, no matter what age you are, it's going to be difficult. The big thing is, I mean, you said at 22, so you were already considered an adult, if you want to look at it that way. That doesn't change the fact that you lost your parent. It's just the fact that you can go back and start remembering the times that you did have and some of the things that your dad maybe said to you, some of the advice he gave you, the walk that he had, and look at those things, good and bad. Like everything wasn't roses. Everything wasn't, some things were probably, I wish I learned